Most of the engines I've torn down on this channel were bought with the intent to dismantle and sell the good parts from. That's part of the way I make a living. But this teardown is different because there are no parts that I could sell from this. It is entirely scrap, aside from the fact that it's a Mazda 3 2.3 liter 4-cylinder, which historically in my business has very low value parts, even if they are good. That last statement, if they are good, there's nothing good left on this engine. It is so bad. In fact, I found this engine and I thought of one of you guys, one of you viewers, Redline Runner, who always gets mad when there's no disconnecting rods. Well, this one's for you. For those of you that have watched this channel for years, you guys know that I don't really care for these engines. And when I say these engines, I'm not talking about the 2-liter variant or the later 2.5-liter MZR, both of which pretty good engines. But the 2.3 liter, whether it's turbocharged or not, the turbo ones are much worse, they all burn oil. And I think the reason that the 2.3 liter burns oil is while it does share the same bore as its 2-liter brother, which those engines never burn oil, they have a significantly longer stroke than the 2-liter. And when you increase the stroke, you've increased the rod angle. When you increase the rod angle, you increase the amount of force on the sides of the piston, the cylinder wall, and the rings, wearing things out faster. And you add that to the fact that these engines only hold about 4 quarts of oil and they have an abysmal oil filter housing design. It's a recipe for oil starvation city. Now this particular engine is out of a 2008 Mazda 3. I don't know the miles because Mazda doesn't stamp the VIN anywhere, but it's an 08. It's what, 17 years old at this point, so we can assume it's not super low. Probably not super high. I would estimate just by looking at it and the oil leaks that are present, probably between 150 and 200,000 miles, which for most people is average for that age of vehicle. But the fact that this engine came out of a manual transmission car may or may not have had something to do with the severity of the damage. So this is the good side. That is the piston, and that's the good side. Now this is the bad side, which I've covered up for dramatic effect. This is blue. And I want to show you guys something that's kind of interesting. You ready? That's bad. Super, super bad. Like any engine with a gigantic hole, we need to know if it turns over. I mean, I can turn it over, but it's going to flip the whole engine over and the stand. This go backwards, which you should never do. Hey, we fixed it. It turns great. Oh, I hit a hard spot. It feels terrible. Let's keep going. Oh, we got the bolt out. So that's not so good. Now we're going to need to retime the whole thing. First, let's get the coils out. Well, let's get these off first. Oh, they come out like that. Not supposed to. Oh, it's got a plug in it. Valve cover gasket's leaking. We got to get right on that. Oh, that's bad. Oh, that feels terrible. This is way too much force. I don't even know if it's coming out at this point. Really? That didn't really help us. Oh. Oh. Well, this one will be fine, I'm sure. So you can already see that it has some problems. The first thing I noticed, there's the painted tip. So are these original? They are Fomoco branded. It is a Fomoco engine, 40 Mazda. But cylinder 1 and 2, there's something missing, and it gets worse. How? How does that happen? I know how that happens. How does that happen? Wow. I think that's one of the worst wrecked plugs we've seen on this channel. Now that the plugs are out, I'm sure it'll turn over much better. I'm going to tighten this bolt back up. it makes unhappy sounds inside. Uh-oh. I hit a stopping point. That's all she wrote. Next, let's remove the intake manifold, which appears to have been off already. It's got missing bolts, and the bolts that are in it appear to be wrong. Let's take a look down these intake ports. Ooh, that's bad. Look at that bent valve. Look at that bent valve. What? What? Where? Look at this metal confetti everywhere. I was not part of this party, but where are the valves? There's nothing there. I can see cylinder wall. That looks normaler. And it's got a little bit of silvery gray oil on top of the valve. That's not good. So here's the intake manifold. And there's metal stuff galore. So much metal glitter, big glitters, but I don't see any valves. Next, let's peel the valve cover off. See what this looks like under here. Well, there's the dipstick that wasn't used. Well, where's the timing chain? But that's a first. Maybe not a first, but I haven't seen that gone in a long time. Where'd it go? Well, that would explain why it was so hard to turn over, but what caused the chain? Well, we know what caused the chain to disappear. So clearly, the biggest malfunction that we can see is the fact that the timing chain is no longer attached to the cam gears, which means cams weren't spinning. Probably happened when the gigantic hole existed or came to existence. But one thing that I don't really see is a ton of glitter up here. There is some. I'm not going to pretend there is none, but it's not like coated in anti-seize. Now we're going to strip the timing cover. We'll start with the harmonic balancer, which this should come out pretty easy. And now that that's loose, yeah, they're not keyed. We've been over that. It's bad. Now the water pump pulley. It's all boogered up. Now some 8s. $10 here. And now some 13s. Now these three is where the motor mount bolts to the timing cover. These are really good bolts for mounting these engines to stands. Nope, this'll do it. I don't know what this is gonna look like. That's not great. Well, I think a piece of piston just fell out from pulling the timing cover. Oh, timing chain. I don't even know what to think. It's broken. This is what fell out of it. That's clearly a piston skirt right there. Wow. And then this can just... Wow. You guys got to see how bad this is. Let me get this guide removed, and this is, I've never seen one broke this bad. I'm impressed. Everything starts okay, and then it's not okay. So I want you to focus your eyes on that crack there. Look, I am so impressed. I've never seen one do this. I've torn down hundreds of these engines. This is the worst one I think I've ever had the pleasure to take apart. The block is nearly split in half here. I bet that goes all, it does. It goes all the way to the main bearing. And then you've got, of course, a bunch, what is that? What is that? That looks like a wrist pin. It is a wrist pin. That doesn't go there. Next, we're going to move the egger valve. Nope, we need to remove the water outlet first. That's easy enough. There we go. And now we can cam the cam cramps. Before we do that, let's remove the variable cam timing solenoid. These things can collect a little bit of bearing materials that's suspended in the oil. And it actually looks decent. Now it is time to cam the cam cramps loose. We have one bolt to zip out first. Now we can cram these loose. I'm really surprised here. The journals look excellent. The caps look excellent. There are no signs that the rest of this engine had a motor go off inside the crankcase. Anywhere. This all looks great. As you can see inside the timing cover, we have some small engine gravel. And here's our broken timing chain. RIP. Let's go ahead and crack the head bolts loose. Oh. Okay, what's behind the head? Or under the head? Beside the head? Whoa! That's awesome! That is super impressive. So the head gasket, it's fine. That is the only thing that's fine in this engine. Oh my gosh, look at... Oh, it's incredible! So here is cylinder 1. And you can see it's gone. It is no longer present. Look at the damage. This thing clearly blew up at idle in the drive-thru. But cylinder 1's not the super impressive part. Cylinder 2, let's see how much of this is loose. Oh, okay. Well, there's one valve. There's two. Oh, it's kind of loose. I'm just gonna, let's see if we can we pull that out? Oh, we can. Oh, crankcase ventilation, custom. And there's part of a valve seat there. This is absolutely amazing. There's 1, 2 holes in it. I don't even know what's holding that piston together other than the bore. We'll have to see what that rod looks like. And then you jump over to cylinder 3, and there's some semblance of normal with a little bit of oil, like a 2.3 normally should be, and some engine gravel for dramatic effect. Cylinder 4, less gravel. This is the most normal looking one of them all. And it looks bad. Now I want you to count these. There's 1, 2, 3. There are 3 valves in cylinder 2. Let's go look at that cylinder head. So there's cylinder 1, and you can see we're missing an exhaust valve. Clearly multiple strikes from piston nuggets. Whoa there. That was almost, we could have ruined the cylinder head. The valves are slightly bent. They're terrible. This is awful. And then you get to cylinder 2. There's where our 3 valves came from. You can see the stems all over the place. giant gashes, the level of damage here. This is very incredible to me. I've seen a lot of blown up engines. This is pretty bad. And then cylinders 3 and 4. Well, cylinder 4 has some bent valves, but that could have been me turning it over with no timing chain. I know I ruined it. Peppered with engine gravel. Here's another look at things. Look, you can definitely get an idea of the magnitude of damage from this angle. Let's go ahead and get this filter out. It was already hand loose, but I think that was probably at the place that drained it. This engine appears to be drained, or it drained itself. It's a little sparkly. We'll let that drain for a little bit, and then we'll check out the filter for metal. Next, we're going to remove what was the oil pan. It is now the engine pan. I have no better terminology. This side has a few less bolts to get out. Don't know what to expect. I'm surprised it didn't fall off. Let's go get blue. Oh, I feel loose things. Oh, that's part of something. That's also part of the something. Wow. Well, this one's hurt. I have yet to pull apart an engine that was missing 20% of the pan, but here we are. So we have a large piston nugget. There's our wrist pin and the top of the rod. Wow. The wrist pin has a couple scratches, but I think it'll buff out. There's some block and timing guide. Oh, here's a good one. That's a rod cap bolt. There's another rod cap bolt. That's piston nugget. I'm just gonna try to pour this stuff out here. Unfortunately, because this pan really didn't hold its end of the bargain up, I don't have as much of the engine as I wish I did. Oh, there's some more important things in here. All right. Well, I did not see a valve. So this is everything that came out of the pan. This is something that was bolted to something. I have no idea. There's some plastics in here. That looks like bearing. It's piston. There's some rod cap bolts. That's part of the block. Also part of the block. This is the only section of connecting rod here. And look at how deeply gouged that is. That is absolutely wrecked. I can't, unfortunately, get the wrist pin out, but I'm sure, you know, little spit shine, ready to reinstall. I am pretty confident there's not a lot of juice left in this engine, so we're going to rotate it over without a pan, and I'm going to eat my words, and you guys are going to get to see what the bottom of this looks like, which I haven't even glanced at. It's pretty bad. Oh, we're leaking a little bit. It's not too bad. I've got plenty of pigment here anyway. Wow. I can't believe that is broken. This is absolutely amazing. Obviously, large hole. But remember that piece that I said was a piston? It's actually the crank. It broke the balance weight, the counterbalance. It broke it off of the crankshaft, and it wedged it between the crank and the block. The amount of force it would take to break that. Clearly, they were just idling, trying to get out of the church parking lot Sunday morning. Oh my goodness, this is incredible. Which leaves so many more questions. Where's the rest of the rod? It's gone. The rest of this looks, from like this point on, you would barely tell. This part, bad. I'm gonna try to remove the oil pump. It's like, oh, it's raining junk out of it. That is not working. I know what'll fix it. This'll do it, right? Well, kind of. That's bad. You know it blew up bad when the bolt that holds the oil pump to the block is damaged. Let me reframe that. When two of them are damaged. When all of them are damaged. Oh, something's broke off in there. I'm going to take the pickup off of this. There seems, that's bad. I can see the metal on this side of the screen. Oh, hey. This is a bad place to keep extra engine parts. It's like a maraca. Hey! That's a lot of stuff. I didn't think that much would fit in there. All of a sudden, what happened to this engine is becoming very clear. Just 2.3 liter things. Come on out. I know there's more in there. Now, one time I tried to use a circular saw with a wood blade on one of these, and it did not bode well, and I kept all of my fingers. I learned a lesson that day. If you're going to do something dumb, don't record it. Because I cannot get I can't get this off. This is all screwed up. I don't know why. I'm going to just see if we can not, oh yeah. That didn't feel good. I know what you're saying. I'm gonna damage it. I already know. It was a risk I'm willing to take. This is kind of locked up here. I have no idea what could possibly cause. We're not giving up yet though. It's not gonna happen. Can't get this thing apart, what the heck? I'm not giving up this easy. Oh, we're making progress here. It still doesn't want to come apart, and I don't know why. I mean, probably because there's a bunch of debris in there. We did it! All right, let's see. That is locked up. I can't get that out, I don't think. I got it in further, which made it harder to get out. I can't get that out. Well, this part doesn't spin that great either. This is all out of the pickup. This is all, well, few exceptions. There's chunks of aluminum, but for the most part, this is all connecting rod bearing. All shreds of bearings that came apart. There's a sliver right there. This is what happens when you don't check your oil. I mean, maybe not this bad, but the work needed to fix it's the same. Here are the oil pump bolts. One of them is broken, that one's broke. They're all bent. They all have significant damage. The oil pump housing, well, that's why that part of the gear rotor won't come out. But we can still get a good look at this. Look at all that debris in there. That does not bode well. Lots of damage. It was eating itself. I'm just gonna remove a few more things here. That didn't survive. Slide this off, and chain tensioner. No oil came out of that, surprisingly. Let's go ahead and remove the balance shaft cassette. Oh, there's some loose pieces that came out of that. Go ahead and take this apart, not expecting to find anything because this still spins pretty freely. So the bearings in here looks like there's some little bit of metal suspended in the oil. You can see a bunch there, but they're not torn up. Balance shafts aren't super tore up. I still would never sell something like this that came out of an engine with such a catastrophic failure. Next, we're going to remove both pieces of the crankshaft girdle. That one's bent. Uh-oh. It came out. These are unhappy. It's also raining pieces out of the engine. You know what? We're just going to use the breaker bar. That impact just doesn't seem to have the gonads. Or we're just gonna have to break them loose manually. They're tighter than the head bolts. That's not supposed to happen like that. I think we need glue to pop this one loose. And now we have 6 rod cap bolts. We should be able to pluck the crankshaft, well, most of the crankshaft out. Let's see if we can get this out. Not too terrible. I mean, it is terrible. Wow. Well, let's turn it the other way and push the remaining rods and pistons out. Oh, that one's unhappy. That wrist pin. Oh man, that's what it's supposed to be like. Not this. Well, I turned it over and the piece of crank just fell right on out. Crank was its own worst enemy there. Let's go ahead and push these things out. We have a lot to cover here. This is what's left of the rod bearings for cylinder 1. That's it. This mushed up flakes. But cylinder 2's rod bearings aren't so bad. Nor are cylinder 3. 4s are starting to come apart just a little bit. The main bearings, the front shell here has a little bit of damage, but I'll show you why in a minute. The rest of these look pretty good. Unfortunately, the majority of cylinder 1's connecting rod has exited and is probably in orbit or embedded in the pavement or in the subframe. But this is all that's left of that rod. Thank goodness that this wedged itself in the corner of the oil pan, because there is no other signs of it. Wrist pin, of course, some scratches, no big deal. That'll go back in during the rebuild. The rest of this, there's a little bit of piston skirt. There's a large section of the piston nugget. I don't know which. It's like yonder. But that's all that's left, and some of this is from the block, some of this is from the girdle. That's it. But you get to cylinder 2, 3, and 4, and the rods are in okay shape. And I say okay because, while these two appear to be all right, this one is not all right. This one tried to eat all the valves. There's a perfect hole for where a stem went through. I mean, it is... this is pretty cool. Now, the other thing that's interesting is that this did so much damage to the top that the wrist pin is locked up. I cannot move this. I could barely move it when it was mounted in the bore, but I can't move it. And I think this rod is actually tweaked just a little. Cylinder 3, lots of debris, but no major damage other than some impact marks from the metal that it ingested. And the same thing goes for cylinder 4. Nothing wild. Speaking of wild, this is the broken off section of counterweight off the crankshaft. I think it's at like, how did this fit on here? I don't even know. It almost had to go like this. There could be more that's broken, that's missing. I don't even know how this fit on here. Let's see if we can do this for a second. All right, the piece of the puzzle fits like this, which means that there's another section of crankshaft somewhere that we did not get. Super crazy. We have yet to see one of these engines do that. We've seen these really marred up, but we've never seen one broken off and in multiple pieces because we don't have all of it. The other piece is nowhere to be found. But what's really interesting about this crank is that while, yes, this is horrendously beat up, I mean, look at how much damage there is. The rest of the journals are beautiful. Not really an oil starvation sign when all of the journals look great except for the one that waged war with the rod and piston. It's pretty peculiar. Here's the broken girdle. Lots of impact marks, both sides. I went ahead and pulled all the valves, or what's left of them, out of the heads. You can see I put the associated spark plug with the cylinder, so it kind of explains what has occurred here. This one got so beat up that it knocked part of the seat out. I don't think the seat fell out while it was, well, obviously fell out while it was turning, but that is not part of the engine's failure. That's part of what happens when the engine failed because it was so beat up. Here are the valves from this thing, and all of them, well, most of them are bent or broken and bent. Some of them are bent so bad that I don't even know how they're not broken. Look at that thing. This is definitely one of the worst blown up engines we've had in a long time as far as severity of damage. Maybe not a complete loss of an engine, but really crazy damage. Oil filter, pleats loaded. Every single one. And you get some bearing. And you get some bearing. You get the idea. Every single one is pretty well loaded. And speaking of really crazy, look at the crack through the main cap. That's the strongest part of the block. It cracked it here. It cracked it in the webbing here. It even cracked it all the way up. I think that crack runs to about right here. And then on the inside here, wild amounts of damage. Gigantic hole there. Huge section of block missing here. And then everything returns to pretty much normal. Cylinder 2, 3, and 4. The water pump's probably one of the only surviving parts of this engine. You gotta be kind of careful getting this thing off. Ah, this failure is perplexing. I know some people are going to say it's hydrolock. This is not a hydrolock situation. Hydrolocked engines typically don't destroy bearings, my experience. Another thing that I have experienced is when an engine is severely over-revved, it usually doesn't destroy bearings, it usually snaps a rod. So my first inclination with the level of destruction and the fact that it was out of a manual transmission car is somebody did the old 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 thing. It's really more like a 1, 2, 3, 2 thing, but it depends on how determined the driver was to do the wrong thing. And that could be the case here. This could have been over-revved, but again, when engines are over-revved, it usually floats valves, which will bend them, which we saw, bent valves. It will also snap rods. My experience is that the end of the rod will still be bolted to the excellent condition journal. Not the case here. I don't have the rest of the rod to tell you what that looked like. It is laying somewhere on the street wherever this engine blew up. Now, if this thing was starved of oil, which is what 2.3s do, this is like their mode of failure, the most common mode of failure, why were the rest of the journals in such good shape? I have torn down only a few hundred of these, so maybe I don't have a lot of data here, and I'm being sarcastic. Usually when there's a rod bearing that's come apart, many of the journals have damage. There's also signs that the crankshaft around where the journals were that the bearing came apart were a different color because of the friction from the lack of lubrication. There will also be lots of damage to the cams and the cam caps. That wasn't the case here. I really can't understand it. Now, what did happen is a bearing came apart, jammed the pickup screen completely packed. It was completely packed. But how did that, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Maybe someone was in this engine and did a set of rod bearings. I couldn't find any identifying marks on the existing bearings. I myself have done two of these cars with 2.3s, put rod bearings in them with the engine in the car. And if you do something wrong, like you don't torque the rod caps correctly, and you rev it out pretty high, it can come apart in a quickness. And maybe that's what happened here. But it's all speculation. But one thing is for sure, I have looked back at every single teardown I've done this year, and I am struggling to find one that was more blown up. Now, if you can remember one that was worse than this from the year 2025, let me know in the comments, because I can't think of one. I can think of worse engines I've torn down, like the Ram V10, the EJ253 that cooked all four rods, the Kia Sorento engine, the J35, lots of really blown up engines, but nothing this year. And the level of damage that this engine has, the block is broken, the crank was broken. We are missing 80% of a connecting rod and 90% of a piston. It's pretty impressive. So whoever blew this engine off, my hats are off to you. Please don't do that again or buy something that doesn't burn oil, like not a 2.3 Mazda. Really hope you enjoyed this teardown. Redline Runner, this one's for you. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you'd like to buy any parts out of, no. This is all scrap. If you want something for your desk, I suppose you could email me. I'll leave our email in the video description. You can also go to Importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I am starting to upload our parts cars again because I got behind. So again, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.